So that's the fern lace pattern, and you're going to carry on doing that until you've got the right length of the foot here. So this needs to be enough. Your toes need to peep out here, and this needs to be at the start of your heel. Okay, so I've done a couple more sets of rounds to extend this lace pattern, and we can see that's starting to emerge now. So let's assume that we've continued this until we have the foot length that we want, and let's go on to the next section of the pattern. So the next section of the pattern is the heel gap. Okay, so we're going to imagine that we've done all of this and we're sitting here. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to knit the lace pattern, and then on the foot side we're going to do rib stitch for a few rows. Okay, so that's fairly simple. I'm just going to do this. I'll speed this up on the video, and I will see you when we've done 4 rows of this, and we'll be ready to do the cast off. Just remembered one thing. Throughout the pattern you'll see it says knit the lace pattern. So because obviously everybody's feet are different lengths and there's different sizes in this pattern, I don't tell you which row of this to do. Okay, so what I do is, you can see I've just quickly written down 1, 2, 3, 4. Excuse my really bad handwriting, this is total scribbles. And then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm ticking off the rows that I'm doing, so I know which row of the lace pattern that I'm doing. Now sometimes I do it in a notebook, and sometimes I literally do it on a post-it note or a postcard or a back of an envelope. It doesn't matter, it's just a really good way of working out which row in a pattern, you know, a decorative pattern, you are when you've got other things like shaping or parts of a sock that you need to think about as well. Because this is what we're doing here. We've got 2 different things going on. We've got a pattern and we've got the structure of the sock to deal with. So let's go on with this. Knit 2, yarn over, knit 1, and then the final knit 2. So we're going to continue this 4 row pattern repeat all the way up. It's just this section that we're going to change. Okay, so I've done a little rib to stop curling. So what we're going to do now is we're going to cast these stitches off. So I'm just going to do a standard cast off. We're going to knit 2, and then we're going to pass 1 over. Knit 1, pass 1 over. And the last couple of stitches. There we go.
I'm going to go change midpoint ear position.
Okay, so I've done my cast off, and you can see we've got a nice neat edge. Oh, drop my stitches. Drop my yarn over. Really important. Okay, so then we're just going to, as this is the top of the foot, we're just going to do whatever row in the fur lace pattern is next, which I happen to know is a knit row. So I'm just going to knit across here. Okay, now we've just got to remember that this is the last stitch at the bottom of the foot. This stitch is not part of the top of the foot. Okay, it's these two are our edges, and then this is the start of our pattern. Okay, so we just need to remember that. Don't leave it on this needle. Okay, so now we need to cast on the stitches that we have just cast off, and we are going to use a knitted cast on. So I'm going to knit a stitch, but instead of pushing it off, I'm going to pull the loop and pop it back on. Okay, go to knit, instead of pushing it off, loop it back on. Okay, now you can see here that I'm doing these on the one needle. I'm going to move those in a minute. So I'm just going to keep casting on until I am back up to having 50 stitches on my needle. Now I'm going to put them all onto this needle because that's the easiest thing to do, but obviously I can't knit with these because the first thing I'm going to need to do is knit this last stitch into this stitch. So once I've got all 50 stitches on my needle, I'm going to have to transfer them back onto these. Okay, so I've got 50 stitches, so I'm just going to take half of these onto here. there's one last little bit in the pattern for the first row of the leg where we do that cast on, and it says the very first thing you do is to knit so the very last thing that we need to do on this cast on round, so the first round of the leg, is to knit this stitch, because this is the stitch that we didn't quite cast off. So this stitch here is actually part of the back. So this is going to be a bit tricky because we've only got 3 needles. Just check that he's behind, yeah. But we're just going to knit this stitch. Oh, it's not going to do it. It's all right. I need to get my yarn in the right place. There we go. So again, in the same way as when we were joining to knit the very first time, I'm just making sure that all of my stitches are the same way. We haven't got any twists. Okay, and we're just going to knit that. And that is your heel gap. So what you're going to do now is you're going to do another set of ribbing here, all the while on the front side, carrying on with the fern lace stitch. And then once you've done the ribbing, you're going to start this fern lace stitch all the way round. Okay, once you've gone up the leg, here, once you get to the length that you need, you're going to do a little bit more ribbing, and then you're going to do an elastic cast off. And that's the last thing that I'm going to show you. So this is the elastic bind off. So this is a sewn bind off rather than a knitted bind off. So you're just going to be using your tapestry needle. So once you've come to the end of your piece, what you're going to need to do is to cut off at least 3 times the length that you need, that you're binding off. So this bind off isn't very good for something like a shawl, which is maybe nearly 2 meters long, because you're going to start your bind off with like 6 meters of yarn, and that's just impossible. But for a pair of socks or the cuff on a jumper, it's absolutely perfect, and it is lovely and stretchy. So it's really easy. We're going purlwise. Bring this up. We're going purlwise to the left, through 2. We're going right to left, no, left to right on 1 and popping it off. And don't pull it too tight. Right to left through 2, left to right through 1 and pop it off. And you just take that all the way along, and you can already see you're getting a lovely neat bind off. There we go. And we'll just finish off taking that through, and then I'm just sewing my ends. I don't know if this is the right way, but this is always the way. I sew my ends. So it's not the best edging going straight onto this lace, but you can see there's a little bit more give into it than the cast on, and certainly a lot more give to that pass over. Actually, that's really interesting. We can look at the two cast offs. There's a lot more give here. Let me show you on the finished piece. So this is our cast on, and this is our elastic bind off. And you can see that once you've got it onto a rib that pulls itself in slightly anyway, it does gives a good grip on the ankle. Okay, so thank you for watching this video. I'm hoping that you are going to love making and wearing the Namaste Yoga socks as much as I have, and I will see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.